This has been an interesting presidential campaign. The Democrats have been telling us Trump's reelection is a threat to democracy. In fact, they were so concerned of this threat, they staged a coup, ousted their democratically elected incumbent, and installed Kamala Harris. In other words, all her dreams have come true. Really? It really makes you consider the power of prayer, right, Cardinal?
Of black men specifically, not that I'm around black men all the time, but actually fairly regularly. Don't know that many black men who are Republicans, but I know zero black men who are liberals. Not one. I can't remember the last time I met one. Is that seems like a trend?
If the anecdotal is even close to true, Trump will break the record among support for black men. I mean, he'll smash it if the anecdotal is close to true. It's all over social media. It's all over my platform. It's all over every story I hear. And part of it, I'll give you a couple of elements of this I think is important. Part of it is Trump has always had appeal with kind of a macho, rich, pretty wife thing. Adds that. But it's also, this example of biased coverage. The press says when Trump says some young black men identify with him and their parents because he's been persecuted, the press says that's racist. My experience is just true. They get the fact that the legal system comes after people unfairly, and if it can happen to Trump, it can happen to them, and it has happened to them and their family and their communities. And then lastly, the failure of liberals to make life in cities for poor kids better is also a massive scandal. Another scandal is that the Republican Party hasn't done anything to capitalize on it and create competition to be mayors of these cities. For sure. But when Trump says, I'm for criminal justice reform, and I'm for fixing schools, and I'm for creating more economic opportunity, he did criminal justice reform. The other stuff, his record is spotty, but he's saying, as he said in 2016 when people mocked him, what do you have to lose? These young black men say, the Democratic Party offers nothing to me. Trump might offer something to me, and he's done criminal justice reform. I think again, you could be the most partisan Democrat in the world. If you can defend the performance of the Democratic Party in helping young black men, good luck.
But I agree with everything that you've said, but what's interesting is
Over to you, Noor. What are you hearing about this drone that was launched from Lebanon? And tell us about this area in Israel.
So for the past hour, we've been monitoring reports that there was this drone attack. We've seen videos posted by residents in that area, and we've also seen how the Israeli military censor imposed very tight restrictions on Israeli media. They sealed off the area. There were suspicions, and people were saying that this was the area where the residence of the Israeli prime minister is. But of course, because of legal restrictions, the Israeli media couldn't confirm it. Now we have confirmation from Netanyahu's office that they were not at the home at the time of the attack, but that the house was actually struck in that drone attack. Of course, no sirens had gone off in Caesarea, Darine. This is an area where business people and politicians live. It's an area where a lot of power is concentrated, but also a lot of strategic assets, namely military bases around Caesarea or in that area. There are gas refineries as well. And we've seen sirens go off in neighboring areas. We also saw sirens going off in Haifa. And this is a tactic that Hezbollah has used in the past, firing rockets while at the same time firing drones to different targets, in effect evading any kind of detection. There were even helicopters in the air, as we could see from the videos, but they couldn't intercept all the drones.
A drone was launched towards the private residence of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in the town of Caesarea. Fortunately, Netanyahu and his family were not present at the time, and there were no injuries. According to the Israeli military, 3 drones were launched from Lebanon, 2 were intercepted, but 1 crashed into a structure near Netanyahu's home. Meanwhile, tensions in Gaza continue to escalate. Israeli airstrikes on the Jabalia refugee camp have killed at least 33 people, including 21 women. Hamas also reported that 3 hospitals in northern Gaza were attacked, severely disrupting medical services in the area. Despite Israel's call for civilians to evacuate, many are unable to leave, making living conditions extremely dangerous and dire.
Barack Obama last week had a pretty strong message toward African American men.
And you're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I've got a problem with that because part of it makes me think, and I'm speaking to men directly now, part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president.
Do you see that as a problem in 2024?
Bill, honestly, it actually broke my heart because to me it was so blatant as to what it was. First of all, it really was a scolding. And again, that's something that there was a man in a parking lot that we were talking to yesterday. We had the Trump bus out there, and he came up and he said, I can't repeat what he said actually, and he was livid. He said, why is he talking down to us? Don't scold us. Where have you been? Coming off of Martha's Vineyard and then lecturing us when it's convenient? So to me, it is very disturbing. The problem is he and they have gotten away with this kind of rhetoric for years. It's just that now they haven't been able to back anything up. And now you come in at the very last second, right? 3 weeks before the election, and now you all of a sudden are going to tell us how to vote? Stop it. And to me, I was refreshed, I think, you guys, to hear these voters, happen to be black men and women who I was talking to yesterday, say, no, we're not idiots. We see what you're doing. We see your timing. Back off.